everyone, it's Hairyfrankfurt and welcome back to my beginner's guide to the gym series. Today we are doing back and shoulders. So if you like back exercises or you like shoulder exercises or you like this video, make sure you do in fact like the video. If you're new to my channel and you're a beginner at the gym, this is your guide. So check out all of the videos in the playlist using the card. And make sure you subscribe because I do these every week, provided my camera doesn't break, which is why this one is a week late. And again, to preface this, if you haven't seen any of my other videos, I am a fully qualified personal trainer. The reason I am doing beginner exercises and a beginner's program is basically because I'm only just getting back to exercise after an injury that had me out of exercise for a very long time. And I have the advice of a functional movement therapist who works under a neurosurgeon, so I'm getting a lot of advice and assistance in making sure that these programs are applicable for anyone and everyone, and you can do all of the exercises safely so that you don't injure yourself like I did, because I'm a moron, but not anymore. All right, let's get into the warm-up, which was 300 meters on the rowing machine, 300 meters in 1 minute 30. You don't have to do that much. You can do more, you can do less, you can go slower, you can go faster, whatever, up to you. And then from there, I wanted to specifically move into warming up my shoulders and my range of motion for these specific exercises, which I did with the use of one of those broomsticks that doesn't actually have a broom on either end. So a very light broomstick and doing some shoulder rolls. With these ones, if you see or feel your elbows bending anywhere in the range of motion, then just make sure you're sticking your arms further out, because there should be absolutely no bending in the elbows, and you want to go all the way from the front of your body, all the way over your head and to the back of your body. And if it hurts, then stop and do some no broomstick shoulder rolls, which you just do with your arm. I also use the broomstick for hip hinges, which are basically telling me that my back is safe and that I can actually bend over safely. This isn't particularly specific to these exercises, but it's something that I do because my injury was in my lower back, and that's kind of just part of my programming specific to me. But if you have lower back pain, definitely try this one out. There should be 3 points of contact, one on the buttocks, one on the mid back, and one on the head, and that is going to make sure that you are keeping a neutral spine and you are bending over and pushing your hips back as far as possible. Now, with all of the warm-ups done, I did some pull-up preps. These are basically hanging from the bar, but you want to pull yourself up just a tiny little bit by pinching your lats, which are a muscle under your armpit. So think of, if your arm is by your side, you want to kind of pinch that muscle, this one here. I'll try and show you. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's this one here. It's so hard to demonstrate, as if you're holding a pencil under your arm. So you kind of want to just hold, like hang from the bar and then pull yourself up just with that little muscle. And that's going to make sure that your arm and your shoulder are placed correctly and you are doing the first portion of a pull-up. We're not doing the full pull-up, we're just warming up specifically the lats and holding with our lats.
With the lat holds, you aren't simply using your lats, you are using your glutes and your core as well. So in this footage you can see me kind of relax and do more than one rep of the exercise, if you will. So when you are completely relaxed and just dangling, your body is completely straight. And then when you do a lat hold, you are pinching your glutes to make sure your legs stop swinging. You are engaging your core so that your legs are slightly lifted and your back is protected. And then you are using your lats to actually lift your upper body up, and you will feel that kind of around the back of your rib cage or in your armpits in the rear kind of side. Those muscles are your lats.
Then I moved into some TRX rows. With these ones, the lower down you are, the more you are pulling yourself up. The higher up you are, the less you are pulling. So if you need to make it easier, just take further steps back. If you want to make it more difficult, just take further steps forward. And these are basically like an inverted row.
TRX rows should feel like the reverse of a plank, squeezing your glutes and your core to make sure that your butt doesn't drop and your back doesn't arch. Pulling yourself up with your arms at about breast level, kind of similar cues to what we did for chest press.
And make sure that you are, again, pinching those lats in all of these exercises, because that's the muscle you really want to be training here, and that's going to make sure that your shoulder placement is correct. I feel like that's demonstrating what I'm doing. Anyways, then I moved into some lat pull downs, which if you're a beginner, not something I would recommend because it does rely specifically on a cable machine. It's not a very natural movement. You're never going to be pulling anything down to you in that specific movement. So really unfunctional, if you will. But for me personally, I am also working on the muscles, so I did add these.
Chest puffed up nice and high for these ones, back kind of arched in the upper quadrant so that you can pinch with your lats, and your shoulders should be pulled down by your lats before you pull the bar towards you. If you can't do the lat holds, then you won't be able to do these, and it doesn't matter. Don't worry, just keep practicing with the lat holds.
Then I moved into some dumbbell bent over rows with a bench. With these ones, you want to make sure that your hips and your shoulders are level. There is no curve in your spine, so you're holding your core and you are making sure that your glutes are enacted as well. Pulling directly up just with your elbows so that your hand ends up roughly around your hip or your belly button navel area, just so that you are using the lats and a little bit of the biceps, but not so much the biceps. Just as much as you need to.
With one knee and one hand on the bench, you want to pull with the elbow leading so that your upper arm ends up in parallel or in line with your spine. You should have a neutral spine and your elbow should come to meet with your midsection and be by your side so that the dumbbell is just by your side. You don't want to be using your actual arm to pull the dumbbell up because then it just becomes a very messy, silly looking bicep curl.
Last 3 exercises I did were specifically for shoulders because I really need to work on my shoulders. It's just something that I am doing. So I did some one-armed dumbbell shoulder presses, which I've shown you guys before, always making sure that your core is engaged and your glutes are activated. Soft knees if you need to really use a little bit of a push to get it up. If you do need to use your legs to get the dumbbell up, just lower the weight. Don't even worry about going heavy. The other thing is always make sure that you are keeping a neutral spine. So if you are curving or trying to push with any part of your back or your midsection, the weight's too heavy, go down 1 kilo or 2.
With your shoulder presses, always feel free to play around with where you actually are pushing to. For me personally, I know that I have 2 rather different shoulder placements because of the fact that each of them will push to different angles, and that's totally fine, but if something hurts in your actual shoulder, stop and seek a professional's advice.
And then I finished off the session with a superset with the forward raises and lateral raises. These are incredibly difficult, so go as light as possible because your delts are not your strongest muscle. At least they're not mine. Just as any exercise that you're doing standing up, you want your feet hip width apart, your core engaged, your glutes engaged, and you are holding a neutral spine. So simply moving with the arm. If you find yourself wiggling to get the weight up, go down 1 kilo because these are a really delicate exercise and they are really amazing and I love them.
Also worth noting with forward raises and lateral raises, you want to make sure that you are keeping a neutral wrist as well. These are something where your wrist will want to be hyperextended and you'll be leading with your hand. Make sure you aren't doing that because it can lead to carpal tunnel and other nerve damage in the wrist, which is a very delicate little joint. Make sure you're keeping a straight wrist. And of course, just like you do with your shoulder presses, you want to make sure you're avoiding any body wiggle with these ones as well, because any body wiggle means you're using your spine and you're not using the muscle that you actually want to use, which in this case is your delts. They're tiny muscles, but you want to be using them, and it's going to take a lot of practice for me to prevent any of that body wiggle as well.
Well guys, that was my back and shoulders day. Let me know what your favorite exercise from this program is, and let me know what you think that I should add to this playlist. I do have supplementary exercises coming very soon, as well as guides for people who don't actually have a gym membership, and a few other things as well. So I hope you guys are enjoying this playlist. If you are, make sure you've watched all the videos in it, and you will see me in the next video, so make sure you subscribe so that you know when that goes up. Otherwise, it'll be one of these boxes right here, and the subscribe button is one of these ones. Okay, bye!